My stepmom banned me from my dad's funeral, so I evicted her in front of the entire family. I was standing over the open grave, watching the first shovel of wet dirt hit the mahogany casket, when Linda dug her acrylic nails into my forearm hard enough to draw blood. The rain was coming down in sheets, matting my hair to my forehead, but the cold I felt had nothing to do with the weather. "You need to leave," she hissed, her voice low so the priest wouldn't hear. "He didn't want you here. He told me last week that you were a disappointment." I pulled my arm away, feeling the sting where her nails had broken skin. My vision blurred, pulsating at the edges. It had been 3 days since my dad passed. 3 days of Linda blocking my calls. 3 days of her barring me from the hospital room while he flatlined. And now this. She was wearing a black dress that cost more than my car, dabbing at dry eyes with a silk handkerchief. "I'm burying my father, Linda," I whispered back, my voice shaking not with grief, but with a rage so potent it tasted like copper in my mouth. "You're making a scene," she said, louder this time. Heads turned. My aunt, my cousins, dad's business partners, they were all looking at me. Linda played her part perfectly. She shrank back, looking terrified like I was the aggressor. "Please just go. Let him rest in peace without your drama." I looked at the casket one last time. I swallowed, the scream building in my throat. I turned and walked away. I heard the murmurs of the family behind me. "Disgraceful," someone muttered. "Can't believe he'd do that to a grieving widow." I sat in my truck in the parking lot for 20 minutes, gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. I watched the procession of cars leave for the wake. They were heading to the house. The house my dad built. The house Linda had moved into 6 months ago and immediately started redecorating. I looked at the clock. It was 11 a.m. The wake was scheduled to start at 12 p.m. I wasn't going to the wake to eat tiny sandwiches and listen to Linda spin lies about how much dad loved her. I reached into the glove box and pulled out a thick manila envelope. Linda thought she had won. She thought because she had the marriage license, she held all the cards. That's when the real bombshell dropped. I wasn't just my dad's son. I was his landlord. 5 years ago, after his first heart attack, Dad transferred the deed of the estate into a family trust to protect it from future liabilities. He made me the sole trustee. He never told Linda. He probably intended to, but he hated conflict. When he married her, she just assumed the house was his. I didn't drive home. I drove to the county sheriff's office. I met the deputy at the property at 11:45 a.m. The catering vans were just pulling into the driveway. "You sure about this?" the deputy asked, looking at the rain-slicked mansion. "It's a funeral, son. It's a trespassing situation," I said, my voice dead calm. "And I want them out." We parked right in front of the entrance, blocking the path for the catering staff. I walked up the steps and used my key to open the massive oak front door. Linda was in the foyer, directing a server on where to place the champagne tower. She froze when she saw me. The color drained from her face, leaving her makeup looking like a grotesque mask. "I told you to get out," she screamed, abandoning the grieving widow act instantly. She marched toward me. "I am calling the police." "I brought them with me," I said, stepping aside to reveal the deputy standing in the rain. "Linda stopped dead." "What is this?" "This is me serving you with an immediate notice to vacate," I said, handing her the papers. "You have 30 minutes to grab your essentials and leave my property." "Your property?" she laughed, a shrill hysterical sound. "I am his wife. This is my house." "Read the deed, Linda," I said, my voice echoing off the high ceilings. "The house belongs to the Miller Family Trust. I am the sole beneficiary. You have zero claim to this estate, and since you're not a tenant with a lease, you're a guest, and I'm revoking your invitation." The guests were starting to arrive. My aunt walked in, shaking her umbrella. She stopped, looking between us. "What is going on?" my aunt asked. "He's trying to kick me out of my own husband's wake," Linda wailed, throwing herself onto the hallway bench. "No," I said, facing the family that had shunned me at the gravesite. "I'm removing a trespasser who kept the son from his dying father." I looked back at Linda. "You have 28 minutes. She tried to fight it. She screamed. She threw a vase, and she tried to slap me. The deputy had to physically restrain her. By 12:15 p.m., the grieving widow was being escorted to her car in handcuffs for disorderly conduct, screaming obscenities that would make a sailor blush. I stood on the porch and watched her get driven away. The family stood in the driveway, silent, looking at me with wide, fearful eyes. I didn't invite them in. I locked the door, went to the kitchen, poured myself a glass of Dad's favorite scotch, and finally cried. So, am I the monster for ruining the funeral? Or did she get exactly what she deserved for trying to erase me from my father's life?